Do you know what the common thread is between the adult who can't say no and the child who never made a sound? It's a disappearance. It all begins with a silence that no one hears. You are 7 years old. You watch a parent collapse under alcohol, rage, or just a hollow void, and in that moment, without a word, you strike a bargain with chaos. Since no one is at the helm, I will be the captain. At that exact instant, the child in you dies to make room for a sentinel. Alone, you learn to read faces before you could read books. Welcome to the psychology of those who carried the world before they had the shoulders to hold it. Have you noticed? The world loves traumatized children. It calls them mature and responsible. You were applauded because you were an emotional lightning rod. But here's the question no one ever asked. At what cost? The cost is that you learned love isn't something you receive. It's something you earn through sacrifice. You became a miniature adult, a living thermostat regulating the home's temperature to prevent an explosion. But in saving everyone else, you forgot to save yourself. Here is the most dangerous personality trait you possess: hyper-independence. It's your greatest pride, isn't it? That you need no one. But look closer, this strength is your solitude. You refuse help because receiving gives you vertigo. To you, an outstretched hand feels like a debt to be repaid. Rest makes you nauseous because, in your childhood, stopping meant letting the chaos win. You don't live in peace. You live in an armed truce, waiting for the next catastrophe to strike. Is this truly strength, or is it terror disguised as resilience? Because for you, stillness isn't a luxury, it's a threat. When you were small, silence didn't mean peace. It meant the calm before the storm. It was the heavy breath of a parent about to explode, or the cold absence of one who had checked out. So your brain did something brilliant and devastating. It deleted the off switch. You became a master of the invisible. You can detect a 2% shift in someone's mood just by the way they put their keys on the counter. You've turned people-pleasing into a high-stakes chess game where you're always 3 moves ahead, trying to neutralize a bomb that isn't even there anymore. And here is the tragedy of the suit of armor. It doesn't just keep the pain out, it keeps the life out. You are so busy scanning the horizon for enemies that you can't feel the sun on your face. You're hyper-productive because if you stop moving, you might have to feel the crushing weight of the exhaustion you've been outrunning for 20 years. You aren't lazy when you try to rest and fail. You are a soldier who has forgotten that the war ended a decade ago. Your body is still waiting for a command that will never come. This is where it hurts. Why do you sabotage your happiness the moment things get easy? Because of a loyalty to the shadows. Unconsciously, you feel guilty for succeeding where your parents failed, as if being happy were a betrayal of their suffering. Could it be a conflict of loyalty? You carry their chains just to stay close to them. But hear this: mourning your parents' lives will not heal them. Your mission is not to be their savior, but to be the one where the cycle stops. You have the right to be the first person in your lineage to simply be at peace. You must realize that no one is coming to validate the pain you hide so well behind your success. The world doesn't rescue those who look like they're doing fine. It is up to you, and you alone, to go back down into that emotional cellar. Not to judge, but to bear witness. Shadow work isn't toxic positivity. It's sitting with your own rage and telling that 7-year-old, you had the right not to know. You had the right to play. The war is over. You can finally put down your shield. Healing begins the day you stop being indispensable to others and start being essential to yourself. But there remains one final barrier, the highest of all, grieving the apology that will never come. You might still be waiting for those who broke you to finally acknowledge the weight they forced you to carry. You're hoping for validation, a long overdue sorry, a sign that they finally see the adult you became at the expense of your childhood. Understand this. Waiting for their comprehension is giving them the keys to your prison for eternity. Your healing does not depend on their honesty. It depends on yours and yours alone. You don't need them to admit there was a storm to have the right to dry your own tears. Justice isn't about them changing things. Justice is you finally giving yourself permission to stop waiting for them. But I know what scares you most. It's the quiet. You've spent so long being the fixer, the listener, and the one who holds it all together that you fear who you are without the burden. You wonder, if I'm not useful, am I still lovable? You've confused your value with your volume of work. But listen closely. The void you feel when you stop performing isn't a sign that you are empty. It is the space where your real self has been waiting to breathe. You don't have to earn your place in a room by managing the emotions of everyone in it. You are allowed to exist simply because you are here. Your worth is not a salary paid in sacrifices. It is your birthright. Imagine for a moment a house in the middle of a storm. For years, you were the one holding the shutters, plugging the leaks, watching the sky without ever sleeping. You believed that you were that struggle. But look closely. The storm has passed. The sky has been clear for a long time. Yet you are still there, exhausted, holding a door that no longer needs to be closed. We don't heal by becoming someone new, just as we don't fix a house by changing its address. We heal by remembering who we were before the chaos dictated our role. Before you became a soldier, you were a promise. You spent your life fixing others while you were falling apart yourself. But today the cycle stops. Rebuilding yourself isn't about returning to who you were before the chaos. It's about discovering who you would have been if fear had never dictated your choices. You weren't given a childhood, but no one can ever take away your future. This is no longer about survival. This is your first day of freedom. Write it well. If you grew up too fast, listen to this. Your maturity was not your identity. It was your armor. It saved you, but today it is suffocating you. At 7 years old, you had no choice, but today you do. Choose softness. Choose the sacred right to not be able to do it all. Put your weapons down in the hallway and finally let that child come home. Let them sit and do nothing. You are not broken. You have simply been in service for too long. It is time to return to yourself. For the first time in your life, you are finally going to grow up right side up.